everyone. Hi everyone. I'm finally getting around to the tutorial on how to mix pigments and micas into your resin with alcohol instead of using the squish method, whatever you want to call it, where you take a little bit of resin and you smash it into your resin and then you pour that batch back into your whole batch to get your color thoroughly mixed in. This technique is super easy. It will work with your 10-minute resin and your regular resin. You're essentially making an alcohol ink with your pigment and your mica. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Super easy. So what you do is, this is resin right here, side A. I didn't mix it because this isn't a mixing tutorial for resin, it's just for the pigments. So you take your alcohol, preferably 99 proof because it's the least water content, but this is not 99 proof, this is 90 proof. So it does have a little bit of water content in it, so you want to keep that in mind. You want to use 99.9% isopropyl alcohol to do this, to ensure that there is not a lot of water content in it. You can use this lower grade, but just beware that it does have a little bit more water content in it. So if you're doing it in 10-minute resin, it could bubble if it's not 99%. So I just wanted to let you know that and give you a heads up before you try this and say, this didn't work for me. That's why, because it's not 99% alcohol. So you just take a little bit, couple drops, it's not very much. You take that and then you take your pigment. This is a pigment, this is not a mica, this is a pigment. So it's going to be heavy and sticky and a little bit trickier to work into resin, just because of the nature of what a pigment is. They're always going to be heavy and sticky and they kind of look a little bit wet, but they're not. But they give you the background of a color. So they're just flat colors. There's no sparkle, there's no any kind of effect to it, it's just flat color. So this, you take, your scoop, however many scoops you want. You can do one, you can do two. This is just one. Then I take the back end of the spoon that I send out with everybody's order, and as you can see, it's already dissolving. And what it does is it breaks down the clumps in your pigments. So you just kind of mix it around and make sure that you get every little spot. And as you can see, there's some that fling up onto the top. But you just kind of rub it along the bottom of the cup in the seam right there. And then what I do to make sure that there is no lumps is I spin it around and then I kind of go back to where I was mixing and kind of run it through to make sure that there's no sediment that's over there in that spot. And I keep kind of like washing it back down to make sure that I get all of the pieces of pigment mixed in correctly. So you keep doing that, and as you can see, it doesn't take very long at all. It's already mixed in. Doesn't take long. So then what you do is you take your batch of alcohol ink, basically, and you pour it into your resin. Now you can let this dry and then mix it in, and you can still get pretty much the same effect. It may take a tiny bit more to work in, but it's still way easier to use than the squish method. So then you put that, wherever, and then you take your resin and you just swirl it and you stir it until it's a solid uniform color. And that's all you do. It's super simple, super fast, way easier than the traditional take a little bit of resin out and, you know, mix it in and whatever. So then I just keep swirling it around and mixing it around until it's all uniform. And that's it. See, there's a little bit of alcohol. That's not sediment, it's just the alcohol is not fully mixed in at this point. So then that's it for that. Now with micas, you do the same thing, super simple. This is a color that I did for a custom. It's kind of like a rose color. So again, you take your cup and you take your alcohol and you just do your little drips, and then you take your spoon and do however much pigment you want or mica you want. Micas are always going to be way easier to mix in than your actual pigments just because they're lighter. As you can see, even just swirling it around has already broke it down and made sure all the clumps are gone. Just want to make sure that all of them are gone. Again, I just kind of wash the back of the cup with the alcohol to make sure there's no sediment up there. And then again, you just take it and you pour it in to your resin and get all your ink, and then you just swirl it around and mix it around. And then it becomes all uniform, and then you can pour your resin. This is side A of the resin. It's not a complete batch because this isn't a tutorial on how to mix resin, just the pigments. But as you can see, sorry, the end of my stick is dirty, but there's no lumps, there's no clumps in the resin, and you won't have any of the speckled pieces that float to the bottom, or sink to the bottom, I should say, of pieces that are finished whenever you're using pigments. A lot of pigments do that a lot. But this way will ensure that there is not that issue. Again, make sure that you use the highest grade of alcohol you can find, because it will have the least amount of water content in it. With 10-minute resin, that's important because it doesn't like any kind of water base. So you want to make sure that you have the highest amount of alcohol in your alcohol. So you want to try and find 99% alcohol. Some pharmacies carry it. Not all of them do. Or you can find it online, and that will give you your opportunity to use it in 10-minute resin. So I hope this helps. Again, here's the final look of the resin. Super easy to do. I know on my business cards that I send out, it has the instructions on how to do like the smush method, but I'm going to change it to also include the alcohol method. A lot of newbies tend to have the freckling issue, so this helps with that issue. So it's a lot easier to do whenever you're new and you're working with powders. Powders are always going to be trickier than liquids. So I hope this helps. Have a good night.